Hello ouens, hey guys, and Moin Loide. This is how a hard-boiled off-road expedition looks nowadays, with horsepower, AC, Engel freezer and an easy driving on an existing track. But just wait and have a look into the past, how this did start at the beginning of the 90s. In his 1970 Land Rover, by searching, finding and building a track through canyons of the Ugab River, the access to the Huab Plateau and at the end a possible crossing over the Huab River in Namibia. No smartphone, no Facebook, no TikTok, no GPS, just maps from the Germans made 1905. But braai, potje, clipdrift and a hell of a lot of fun, a real adventure back then. Decide yourself what was better. Our start was a camp at mile 108 and with the flare of the ground zero in order to find the entrance to an old military pad which was closed. This took us a day, cruising around in the desert to find the track. At the end we lay land for the night at the banks of the Huab River which was coming up. The next morning we took off early to find the entrance into the narrow canyon which should lead us all the way to the plains around the Brandberg Massif. We left the glistering Namik to climb steadily uphill into an area of sand-blown granite, where we made an excursion into the seemingly dead land. But going closer into the barren land, we found the beauty of it. Camouflage toad grasshoppers, pink blooming bushman's candles, and dark red flowering succulents. Then we found the entrance into the narrow canyon and a long valley of white glistering sand. We spotted a herd of mountain zebras and decided to follow them on foot, climbing a rocky hill in the heat. A lunch break directly out of the potje from the evening before and the Windhoek lager enhanced our spirit to drive on. The only way was the narrow canyons and we were not sure if there were any lions left. Leopard and hyenas for sure when we found a carcass half munched up. Besides fresh rhino dung. To meet a pissed rhino here in the canyon was a DOA for us, no escape, but we were lucky. In the distance a proud oryx was standing on a rocky slope when we left the canyons, and before us opened a white plain leading to the Brandberg Massif in the distance. The fourth day we vanished into the canyon land, first to the marooned old Brandberg West mine with the tin houses, and then entered an area of the ripped and folded sedimentary rock layers which must have formed under immense pressure. After 4 days of search for the entrance to the Huab Plateau, we ended up at a dead end, boxed in by steep rocky walls and the Ugab. We gave up for this year, but we will back. The next year we found the rocky passage over the blocking wall and followed the Ugab River bed until we had to climb through narrow gorges onto the Huab Plateau. There we cruised along old German farmland with leftover wrecked cars before we found the old Bushman junction Gas with a bitter spring. There we spent the night and counted more than 100 zebras and oryx having a zip. The next day we spotted giraffes were standing in the plain and the rhino crossed our way. When we gave the GPS coordinates to the Save the Rhino Trust later on, we learned that it was named Mad Max, 35 years old. After crossing the plateau, the Huab River bed filled with reed lay before us. Another day of search for a passage and another night in the riverbed hugging the canyon wall when elephants marauding along the riverbed. The following day we found a washed out passage of the Huab. We built a pad to cross the riverbed. Navigating through a sand dune area later on like a desert, we bumped into a village on the land of the marooned farm du Riet, which shouldn't exist. In fluent German they told us that an elephant wrecked their water pump last night, which prince we tracked and followed, and that they were deported from Cape Town by the Afrikaners during the war. We left them and went back to Windhoek by surrounding the Brandberg Massif where the Damaraland was in full bloom. From now on, this route was our yearly pad into the bundus. The animals were still there, the village on du Riet was completely gone. The 2 years search and about 10 days, we made it later on in half a day. To be frank, I like the 10 days more better.